Hey guys, it's Chris. How you doing? This is going to be Signs of the Devil. Go back and watch the other ones if you haven't seen them. Really doesn't matter what order you watch them in. So, whatever. But you'll see the obvious ones first. And then as I go on, they're going to get more subtle things. You're going to hear me talk about things you've never heard of. And this might be one of them, but I'm not sure. But the X, the X is a sign of the devil. You see it everywhere. Once you know about this symbol, you see it on logos of major corporations. You see it on movies, and it's always done in a stupid way that it makes no sense why that X is there. Sometimes they make it fit right into the logo. But a very common thing is to have an X like this, and then at the top of the X there's a dot. There's a dot sitting in the V of the X. And what that's symbolic of basically pagan sun fertility. Because when the mother goddess was supposedly alive, back when Semiramis was alive, she was impregnated supposedly by the sun. The reincarnated Nimrod, the sun, Tammuz. So, and there's many other names for Tammuz, and there's many other names for Semiramis. But basically, anytime you see a woman-like goddess, and I'm going to show you a couple pictures. Anytime you see this goddess with this sun on her head, this is a symbol of the devil. This is satanic, occultic, demonic, spiritual mating, basically. It's even hard to explain to people that don't understand how the angels come into the men. Because what happens is the Bible says the sons of men had wives, and the angels, the fallen angels, took these wives and they saw them fair. And they slept with them in the spirit. And that's how Nephilim came about, guys. That's how hybrid beings came about. And I could guarantee you this is still happening today. But anyway, what's going on is the X with that dot coming into the top is the same symbol you see on the statues of Molech and Baal. And Osiris and Isis with the wings, that she has the wings and she sits kneeling down with the sun on her head. You see it in Egyptian stuff, you see it in Babylonian stuff, and you even see it in Japanese statues of demons, where the demon will have multiple breasts under its body to symbolize the fertility, and then it'll have the sun on the top. In fact, right here is a picture of a statue I saw at Mount Fuji right near my house, a Japanese restaurant I ate at before I became saved, and God said, remember that statue you saw? And it all came together so I could teach people about it after I was saved. So you'll see it in Japanese culture, you'll see it in Egyptian, Babylonian, and you even see it in American culture with the sun. But not so much like there's a goddess with the sun on their head. You see it in like Obama's logo. And in many other logos like sun chips. Anything that has to do with the sun is satanic fertility and Babylonian garbage. And it's been around since the foundation of the world. So anyway, I'm going to show you the way they use this X on movie covers, on logos, on other things, and I'm going to show you the way they use the dot in the X, and we'll go over it, and we'll look at them, and I'll talk about them, and then we'll talk a little bit about it at the end about it. Okay, guys, here's a little logo here. This company's name is Nina. You could see the X, and you could see the little dot that sits in that groove that looks exactly like all those images I just showed you. What that is, again, is the sun coming down into the woman. It's representative of Tammuz and all the other images we just looked at. Now, a lot of these are going to be looking very similar. I really don't need to get too far into it. They use more than just a dot sometimes. Like, for instance, here you see a little arrow going into the side of the X. Again, it's a phallic symbol. And it could appear coming in from the top, coming in from the side, or whatever. But that's exactly what it means. So take a look at this next one here. This one's called X Mind. And what you see here is you see an X, and you see the dot coming down into the groove on top of the X. But what you also see here is an infinity symbol. It's the sideways 8. Basically, if you stood this symbol up and took it off of its side, it would look like an 8. And the infinity symbol is a symbol of everlasting life. It's a witchcraft symbol. It's a sign of reincarnation. It's a sign of Satan, basically. And I'll do something on that one down the road. But you see this symbol on a lot of logos today. Here's another one. This one's called Noise, but you see what they did with the X there, and you see the little dot that sits in that groove. Now, if you stand this thing up, if you stand this thing up and tilt it to the left, this looks a lot like a headdress Madonna wears. That's basically Molech worship. This is something that's very common, guys. I'll show you a few pictures of this right here. Here she is at the Super Bowl. You could see she's got that little U-shaped cup on top of her head. That's basically what she did here was offered herself onto demon gods, because the sun that comes down is a demon god, is Satan. The power of Satan, the power of the angels coming into the woman on earth. And if you look behind her, she's got X's written on her seat there. And by her left hand, she's got a candy cane looking thing that's supposed to represent a crozier. And that's the same type of candy cane you're worshipping when you celebrate Christmas and you give candy canes out to your children. So it's all there for you guys. To the left you see Baphomet. I really don't want to talk about him right now. Here's another one, guys. Another X with the sun coming down into the top. I want you guys to know that the X alone is a satanic symbol. Not just the X with the sun coming into the top. I'm going to get to that later. These are just the ones that have a dot or a circle coming into it. I just want to show you how common this is. Here's another one. X with the arrow going into the side. The arrow represents a phallic symbol. And the X represents the female counterpart. Angels falling into man. Again, guys, you see the same X. A lot of times they like to get cute and make it look like it's a little man or something, so it doesn't raise any red flags why this is popping up everywhere. Because really, making these logos with this X on it is prideful on their behalf, and it boasts Satan. But at the same time, it's a gamble, because if anyone finds them out, they have to change this logo and they'll be known as a satanic company. And hopefully this video will help that cause, because these logos house demons. And the more these logos get around and the more people accept these logos, the more spiritual darkness will be in the air. Here's another one. This is channel 9. You see the same type of X with the rounded ends. The rounded ends even more accentuates that little cup, the little sun groove there, I call it. But you see the 9, there's a circle. That 9 is lined up right with the X at the top of the X, so this is what they're trying to do with this. They know exactly what this means, Anyone who worships Satan sees this, and it's like a mark of comfort for them, that they know that this organization is owned by the Satanic Kingdom. Here's the company Excite. You could see the X with the dot in the middle, and this time they take it even a step further and they show you that little sunburst crown on it. In case you guys have never seen a sunburst crown anywhere else, you might want to take a look at this. You see the same sunburst crown over here. This is exactly what this represents. It's sun worship, it's Satan worship. And Lady Gaga's a psychopath, and there's no two ways about it. She's a devil worshipper. Okay, here's another place you'll see a spiked crown on the statue of Lucifer in front of the United States. Most people call this the Statue of Liberty. This is meant to be an androgynous deity with the sun helmet on it, the sun crown. And this is no doubt a statue of Lucifer the light bearer. That's why it's holding a torch. And if anyone thinks I'm lying, why don't you try and figure out where this came from. So back to this company, you could see that those spikes represent what I just showed you. It's very obvious. Once you know, it's very obvious. Anybody involved with this company, the agenda of this company is a satanic agenda, one way or another. No one could convince me otherwise. Here's another example of this. You have the crescent moon on this one. You have the number 3. They slice that X into 3 sections. And you have the sun coming into the side of the X. Same like all the other ones. Now, it's very obvious that these companies go out of their way to always put a dot near that X. And now you guys know why. Here's another one, Agenda X. Again, they tried to make this X look like a little man, so it's not totally obvious what it means. I would say, guys, maybe 1 out of 20 times this is a mistake. Somebody just took a logo from another company or took an idea from another logo, and they're really not serving Satan. But once they use this logo, a demon could get into it. I'm a true believer in that. That if you get tricked into using this logo, you may be forgiven and you may not be blaspheming the Holy Ghost, but the demons see it, and when they see it, they can get into it. And they can follow it, and they could chase people that have this logo, anything with this logo in their possession. Here's a movie cover, Underworld Evolution. Obviously, the devils and the demons live in the underworld, but you could see that they cross the swords in an X formation. This is very common on movie covers, guys, to make this X symbol. We're going to go into a couple of them now. This is just the first one, but why would they always need to do this? It's just stupid. It came from the Satanic Kingdom, and it's repeatedly done over and over again. Let's look at another one. Here's the movie The Scorpion King, guys. Obviously, this is around Egypt or something. Obviously, the scorpion is of Satan. Jesus said he gives us all power to tread on serpents and scorpions. Therefore, scorpions are demonic, satanic beings. They named this movie after that. And you could see the guy standing above with the 2 flaming swords in the X formation. That's a sign of the devil, guys. Not only that, but if you look at The Rock, I believe this guy's name is The Rock, the guy standing on the bottom. That sword he's holding is a Shriner's sword. This is a sword that they worship in the Freemasonry temples, and this is the sword that they're going to be using to behead people with in the tribulation. And that's why they worship this sword. This sword is a sword of Satan. It's a sword of satanic ritual. Here's another one, guys. This one's called Black Christmas. Obviously, you could see the X behind the word Black Christmas. This is where you get the term Xmas from in Christmas, because Christmas is a Babylonian holiday of Nimrod. It's a holiday of satanic worship. It's a holiday where the most blood sacrifice is done all year. It's the winter solstice, basically. And while you sit down with your children to celebrate Christmas, there's little 1-year-old babies and 2-year-old babies dying all over the world, and the Satanists are giving that blood to demons. And the excuse that people use that the Roman Catholic Church made this in order to mend the two holidays together is a joke. You don't fix a problem by mending a holy holiday with a satanic holiday. You abolish the satanic holiday. Here is a little card that I found. It says Merry Xmas. You could see the Christmas tree with the angel wings. You could see the single eye of Lucifer on the Christmas tree. And you could see that on the bicycle, there's a little peace symbol on the back wheel. The peace symbol is a satanic symbol. Now, whoever drew this cartoon is working for the devil. They know exactly what they're doing. You could see the little thing in the Christmas tree's hand is a little pitchfork. They wanted it to look like a golf club or something, but you could see there's notches in it that make it look like a pitchfork. So, anybody that received this card also received a demon, and if you did receive that card, you may want to go get deliverance. Here's another movie. This one's called Triple X. You could see that the X's are the same type of X's I showed you in that one that was, the company was Noise. They have the very long cap. That's meant to be the sun crown of Molech turned sideways. And again, the X is just a common satanic symbol. The number 3 is a satanic number. It represents the number on the devil's pitchfork there, and it represents other numbers that they use that are divisible by 3. And you could see that this is a cover where you could see flames. It looks like almost like the flames of hell are behind it, and you could see all the demonic tattoos, and you could see a little angel on his arm right there. It's very hard to see, but it's there. Here's Malcolm X, guys. They basically used this guy to promote a group called the Nation of Islam, which is basically a Muslim group. You could see the devil's X is marked all over this thing. I believe that's why his name was Malcolm X, because the devil had his mark on this. And what they do is they use what seems to be like a really good movement or like a good idea, and they use it to spread a religion that's anti-Christian, which is exactly what Malcolm X did. As good as people think he was, and as great of a man as people think he was, he went to hell. So what does it really matter? Because biblically, guys, he didn't believe in Jesus Christ. And you have to believe in Jesus Christ to go to heaven. Here's a movie called Death Watch. You could see above these guys, there's a big X cut across this guy's face. The one that, the guy's eyes. You see the X like right across the nose and the face. And, I don't know how I found this. I must have just ran across from it one day and pulled it off on my desktop. But why would there be an X across that guy's face? See, this is how they subtly sneak this stuff in. They come up with a way that whoever's in control of making all these movies is a high satanic priest. And that person makes sure that every movie has the devil's mark on it somehow. Because if they don't put some kind of mark on it of the devil, they cannot get demons into your house. Here's a Sylvester Stallone movie. This is called I See You. And you could see that there's a big massive X in the middle of this cover, and this movie has nothing to do with the X. It has absolutely nothing to do with it. It looks like a guy that just runs around in the woods and tries to kill somebody or kill things, and why there's an X on it, your guess, I guess used to be as good as mine, but now we know that there's an X on it because they need to get demons into this movie. For whoever buys it, they need to get those demons into their house. And that's why it's there, guys. Okay, guys, this is a common horror movie. You see the clown head in the middle there with the 3 spikes on it. This is Child's Play 2. This is basically a movie to get people to be fearful of dolls. And it does a great job, because if they could get you to be afraid of a doll, they know that they could get a demon into your dolls in your house. Most of the dolls you're buying for your kids, they already come preloaded with demons. But if they could get you to fear them, it's that much better. You could see the X there. It's holding the scissors. There's a nice big X. And you could see, I believe this doll's name is Chucky. You could see that it's got one eye and it's winking its eye. That's a symbol of the all-seeing eye of the devil also. So a lot of symbolism on these movies. Here's another horror movie with a lot of symbolism. You could see that the one X there. This movie's called Puppet Master. You could see behind it there's a big X. The X has nothing to do with this movie, so they kind of just put it there to get demons onto the cover. And a couple other things you see on this movie. You see a wolf man, you see an Indian, you see Nazis, you see a guy with a hooked hand. I mean, this is just a complete debauchery of satanic mess, this movie. You see the swastika on the upper right corner. Guys, if your kids are watching this, you have a major problem. A major problem. Here's the movie Beowulf. This is a mythical movie about basically demons, in my opinion. Actually, it's a fact. It's not opinion. This movie was starring Angelina Jolie. You could see the way her legs are. It's meant to form an X. And then you have the snake, which is a symbol of Satan, wrapped around the X. And then I think I saw this movie before I was saved. And there's I believe there's giant Nephilim in this movie. If not Nephilim, there's other beings that looked like giants in this movie. And to the Satanic Kingdom, this is just a reenactment of the days of Noah, basically. So this is a movie you don't want your kids watching. You could see the bee in the Beowulf is a satanic symbol. Here's that symbol now. You could see that you could see the part that they used to make the bee minus the back end of the bee. The round parts to the left of this symbol. Now, to a Satanist, any part of this symbol is very familiar to these Satanists because they're using this symbol to conjure up demons. So when they're doing witchcraft, they use these symbols, and then when they see it on the covers of these movies, they recognize it immediately, and they know that the movie is owned by the devil, and it's a symbol of pride for them. Here's a movie called The Last Airbender in 3D. I have no idea what this movie's about, but I see the X and I see the fire, and usually when you see this fire on the cover of a movie, it's hellfire that it represents. And you know, I don't know why they wouldn't make another symbol with the hands, why it always has to be an X, but that's the devil for you. Here's one of a few clips I found on the movie Sin City. Obviously the name Sin City alone is owned by the devil because it's sin, and the devil's all about sin. But you could see the scar on Bruce Willis's head just happens to be a perfect little X. And this isn't the only place you see an X in this movie. There's another guy who's a lunatic named Marv, and his bandages are always in the shape of an X. You could see on his right eye and his chin, they make X's out of the bandages. So this movie had a lot of symbolism, a lot of satanic symbolism. There was pedophiles that had farms. Guys, make no mistake about it, a lot of Satanists in real life have farms. The reason they have farms is because they need to raise animals to give demons blood. They need a lot of space to kill these animals and do their rituals where no one will bother them. And I know plenty of Satanists that have farms, so, you know, it's what they do. Here's the movie Lawnmower Man, guys. This is a classic horror movie from the 80s or 90s. I forget when they made it. But this movie's really creepy. You could see the big eye that represents the all-seeing eye of Lucifer. You could see the man standing in the eye making an X out of his body. And to top it all off, you could see on his chest they made a symbol of a phoenix with the wings of a phoenix right on his chest, and you see the little phoenix head there. And none of this is by mistake, of course. And basically the only reason I put this in this video is because the guy's making an X with his body. So here's another movie where a guy's making an X out of weapons. This time the guy uses 2 guns. The name of this movie is called Hitman. You could see the T in the Hitman is meant to be a Baphomet head, a goat head. They use 2 guns to make a goat head. And you could also see right at the tip of the gun that's going off to his left, you see an X right at the tip of that gun, and you see X's all throughout the cover. So they went out of their way big time to make X's here. Okay guys, this really needs no introduction. The whole show is called The X-Files. This whole show is dedicated to the devil. You see the X there, obviously. Not really much to say about this one. It's just so blatant. It's so blatant that there's nothing to say about it. So, let's go on to the next one. Here's a movie called Timeline. You see multiple X's on this cover. And obviously the main one is they used the bow and arrow to make a flaming X. This is no mistake. Like usual, they do this to get demons into the movie. And let's go on to the next one. Okay, here's another one with multiple satanic symbols. As you guys are beginning to see, usually there's more than just one. So, you have the skeleton, that's representative of Skull and Bones. And you have the X. They use the surfboards to make the X. And of course, guys, I'm not even going to post it, but the symbol for the group Skull and Bones is obviously they make an X out of the bones. And this is where this stuff comes from. If you want to see the Skull and Bones symbol, go and look it up. I'm getting sick of looking at these symbols. Okay, here's another one named after the devil, X-Men. You see this this sharp claw coming out of this hand with the razors. This is another indicator that it's marked by the devil. You saw this in Freddy Krueger. You saw it in Edward Scissorhands. You saw it in the video game Street Fighter. The character Vega had this coming out of his hands. This is demonic. This is satanic. There's demons in hell that look like this with this sharp razor coming out of their hands. They're cutting people up down there and destroying the people that turned away from Christ. And this is why you see it on all these shows, the razors. But this is also why you see this show is named X-Men. You're going to see the next picture is going to be named Xbox. And the one after that's going to be named X Factor. And you see that even in this picture, the Xbox 360, they used numbers of the devil. The 6 is a number of the devil, and so is the 3. And they total 9. The devil uses numbers divisible by 3 to mark his stuff. Anyone playing Xbox, you're in big trouble. Anyone playing video games, you're in really big trouble. If you've made an idol out of these shooter games and these demonic games, you have major problems. You have a major addiction you have to fight. And Jesus Christ will not bestow any blessings upon you until you completely turn away from video games. These video games were demonic from the get-go and created to be an idol in your life. Here's the symbol I was telling you about, X Factor. This is another TV show today. I hope you guys are beginning to realize everything's named after the X. Everything. You never see a show called the O Factor or the A Factor. It's always the X. And now you guys know why. Okay guys, let's not forget that the letter X is sprayed in the sky every day by the chemtrail pilots carrying out the satanic agenda. I've interviewed demons about what this chemtrail stuff is, and they've all confirmed that this is in order to create an atmosphere where the demons can come into the natural. They've confirmed that their power is electrical, and that's why that there's planes in the air spraying metal in the air to increase the electrical conductivity of the air. And we're so close to the end, guys, I could taste it. When the whole world could walk around and pretend that these X's and these chemicals aren't being sprayed in the air, it's very obvious the whole world is under a strong delusion. And that's the sign, according to my Bible, that the end is near. My Bible says there will be a falling away, and we're living it. Here's another symbol of the X. This is a Knights Templar. You could see they use the X on their shields. People are going to say it's a cross. No, it isn't a cross. A cross is longer from one side than the other. They don't use it that way. They use a red X. This is the same red X you see on the Roman Catholic Pope's outfit. This is a symbol of the plan of the devil and how it was carried up through the ages. And it's a symbol of Satan, of course. And, you know, anyone who doesn't think that this is all done intentionally is a complete idiot. This is why the blood drives are called Red Cross. Did anyone ever wonder why every hospital van and it has a Kundalini symbol of the snake on it, and every hospital van has the Red Cross on it? That's because half the blood that you're donating is going to the demonic kingdom to give on to demons. Here you see the Red Cross on the outfit of the Pope. I never heard of Jesus Christ wearing a Red Cross on his outfit, so I'm wondering why this idiot is wearing it on his outfit. This guy's a joke. He's a satanic priest. Anyone who thinks I'm blaspheming a man of God, you're of the devil too, and I could care less what you think. Because the Pope of the Roman Catholic Church is one of the most evil men in the whole world at any given time. He's a high-level Satanist. That's all he is. And eventually, guys, do not be surprised if you see the Antichrist come out of the Roman Catholic Church. And don't be surprised if the Antichrist you see looks exactly like the Jesus that they show you that's hanging on the cross. Because Jesus did not have long hair, guys. Okay, guys, I showed you a bunch of examples of the X. You see it in cartoons. You see it in cartoons. You see it everywhere. It's everywhere. So, the dog just fell out of the van. But, he's back in. How you doing, little guy? Anyway, guys, if you don't believe that all this is done intentionally, like I always say, you're under a strong delusion. On our way here, On our way here, we passed many trucks, many Freightliner trucks, and what was funny is the trucks either have a sun on them, a lightning bolt, or an X. All the way down the highway, you see satanic symbols, everything you see, the logos on all the restaurants all across the country. You know, you got the McDonald's number 3 pointing down. You know, you got the Arby's symbol that has a 3 and a 6 in the hat. It's everywhere. It's everywhere, guys. And there's almost nowhere to eat when you drive down the highway, but this symbol X was everywhere. Every truck that said Express, it wasn't spelled normal like EXPRESS. It was just a big X and then press. Or, you know, Extreme Trucking with a big X and then Extreme. You know, they don't spell it normal. I don't know where this came from. Actually, I do. I'm being sarcastic. But, guys, it's everywhere. And it's in movies. It's why you call Christmas Xmas, because that's a symbol of the devil. It's a symbol of Nimrod. And you will see many demons, when demons manifest, holding their hands in this position for power, in the X. This comes from the satanic kingdom. When these demons go down in the pit and Satan bestows power on them, he's doing these symbols. That's where this comes from. It all comes from that. You saw many movie covers where they're holding guns like this, or swords like this, or they're blowing fire like this. Why didn't they blow the fire like this, or like this, or like this? It's always like this. And this is so the Satanists know exactly that movie is passing their agenda. It's because of pride, guys. They have to mark their territory. They know everyone's so stupid. And I see it as clear as day. If I were as evil as them, I'd be doing the same thing. I'd be putting these things, boasting to myself and to my other satanic demons and witches that we own the world and all this. Because if you're going to be evil and you're going to follow the devil, you might as well get as much lustful pride and evil in while you can, because this is your only shot. And that's the way these people look at it, guys. They're like, you know, they're like, we've already cremated our care. We've already, you know, sold our souls. And basically, the ones who know that angels are real, the witches who have astral projected, that know that God's power, they can't overcome it, they've already sold their soul. They're too afraid to back out. They're deluded by the devil. They probably could back out, but God put a strong delusion on them or something. I don't even know, guys, but they're afraid to come out, and they just say to themselves, I might as well be a lowlife because this is my only shot. And I might as well sleep with as many beautiful women and make as much money and take as many gifts from the devil here, because I'm on borrowed time right now. I'm just living on borrowed time. And deep down, they're miserable, guys. But I'm glad you got to see the X. Keep an eye out for this X on your clothing. I'm not saying, you know, you have to throw stuff out if you see an X, but if you see that the clothing is built around the logo of an X and that it's the centerpiece of the clothing, I would get rid of it. You know what I'm saying? You don't have to look at everything that has a cross or any design that has two lines going through it and get paranoid. It's more about the blatant stuff, guys. Like a shirt that says X-Men. Get rid of that. You understand what I'm saying? Anyway, be blessed in Jesus' name and have a good day.